Hey y'all, and welcome to Politibrawl. My name is Brian, and Trump expertly handles this ridiculous reporter when she asks this even crazier question about Trump and the trade wars. Let's dive in.
Term called the taco trade. They're saying Trump always chickens out on your tariff threats, and that's why markets are higher this week. What's your response to that?
I kick out?
Chicken out.
Oh, isn't that nice? Chicken out. I've never heard that. You mean because I reduced China from 145% that I set down to 100 and then down to another number? And I said you have to open up your whole country. And because I gave the European Union a 50% tax tariff, and they called up and they said, please, let's meet right now. Please, let's meet right now. And I said, OK, I'll give you till July 9. I actually asked them, I said, what's the date? Because they weren't willing to meet. And after I did what I did, they said, we'll meet anytime you want. And we have an end date of July 9th. You call that chickening out? Because we have $14 trillion now invested, committed to investing when Biden didn't have practically anything. This country was dying. You know, we have the hottest country anywhere in the world. I went to Saudi Arabia. The king told me. He said, we have the hottest country in the world right now. 6 months ago, this country was stone cold dead. We had a dead country. We had a country people didn't think it was going to survive, and you ask a nasty question like that. It's called negotiation. You set a number. And if you go down, if I set a number at a ridiculous high number and I go down a little bit, they want me to hold that number, 145% tariff. Even I said, man, that really got up. You know how it got? Because of fentanyl and many other things, and you added it up. I said, where are we now? We're at 145%. I said, whoa, that's high. That's high. They were doing no business whatsoever, and they were having a lot of problems. We were very nice to China. I don't know if they're going to be nice to us, but we were very nice to China. And in many ways, I think we really helped China tremendously because, they were having great difficulty because we were basically going cold turkey with China. We were doing no business because of the tariff, because it was so high. But I knew that. But don't ever say what you said. That's a nasty question. Go ahead.
What a paltry question of a paltry nature. Seriously, that's sort of a dumb thing to ask. Why are people calling Donald Trump a taco? Okay, well, first off, where I come from, taco means you're probably one of the dumber members of your fantasy sports league, but now it has come to mean something else. In Wall Street circles, apparently there's been an acronym for people who are following the markets, for people who are specifically taking a look at the timelines and then figuring out where to invest, where to sell, where to buy, etc. And what they found is that there actually is a sort of a wave to this ride. And that is when it comes close to Trump's red line in the sand, Trump comes back to the negotiating table. And so for some reason, Wall Street has this brilliant idea of saying Trump always chickens out. When the reality is, it shouldn't be taco, it should be tan. Trump always negotiates. That's what he does every single time. He has renegotiated things with China during his first term. It worked out tit for tat, but it worked out even better when he renegotiated with Canada, with England, with other nations in the European Union. It kind of had a pretty good outcome. And then Wall Street should be thanking its lucky stars that Donald Trump is now in office again because we made massive gains the first time around. I'm starting to think the Wall Street's getting a little ungrateful here, and I don't fully understand why. They understand at their core that Republicans, 9 times out of 10, turn out better for their stock portfolios. So to have this sort of going around their circles either means that they are wanting to bite the hand that feeds, they're taking a peck too many here, or they mean something else entirely. I think what they're trying to say by this acronym is that if you follow what Trump has to say, his rhetoric, his actions, that you ultimately wind up with a scenario where you know where to buy and where to sell. And so, while a cynical name, it's meant sort of as a term of endearment, while also being tongue-in-cheek. So it's not something I'd use. I personally go with tan myself. But let's actually see if this stands up to the scrutiny here. All right. And this is from NBC News here. U.S. tariffs and proposed tariffs. The target, China. All items except smartphones, computers, and other tech devices. Tariff 30%. Date proposed April 7th, updated on May May 12th. And the current status is it was imposed on April 8th, clarified on the 9th, updated on the 11th, and updated again on May the 12th. So basically a month of renegotiated deals, tit for tats, back and forth. And remember what I said earlier, Trump always negotiates. Quite literally, the dude wrote the book, The Art of the Deal. He's not just good at getting international media outlets to give him game shows. He is good at trying to figure out what someone wants. He is even better at figuring out, understanding what he wants to get out of that. And then he will use whatever negotiating tactic he can. Being your best friend and backing you up in times of trouble, being your worst enemy, then all of a sudden giving you a sweetheart deal. There's something called a hard ask, a soft ask, and he will use every single line in his playbook that he can in order to get a better deal. That's exactly what you want out of an executive, particularly someone who is negotiating on the international stage. Don't you think that's a good idea? Seriously, let me know what you think down in the comments below, but we got to keep this thing going, because the reality is, when these reporters then ask these questions, that means that left-wing media outlets and other left-wing media groups have picked up on the term, and just as of today, of May 28th, 2025, I have seen this Trump always chickens out trending over Twitter. So I rolled my eyes, started taking a look, and all these quotes, all these takes are coming from this super skewed leftist position. And they're cynically saying, well, Trump is obviously losing. Really? You've got to be kidding me. Trump is losing with this? The fact that this was even done to begin with has been a victory in of itself. Do you know how much it takes to even get this far into these sort of negotiations? And now Trump is in the driver's seat again. These other nations are coming to us and saying, hey, you sure about this? This is going to hurt us more than it hurts you. Can you please back off of this a little bit? And so now Trump is once again trying to figure out what these nations really want, what they're willing to accept, and what the United States can get out of it. We are currently facing a massive problem with our debt crisis. We have just watched debt yields start to rise. That's a good thing on one hand, but it also means we have to pay out more in the long run. And so that means that other nations are starting to look at our debt and go, maybe we should start cashing out. And that's going to lead to a huge set of problems that will have a domino effect for the entire world economy. And Trump wants to avoid this at all costs, and so we're trying to tariff our way out of this problem. We can't raise enough taxes here in the United States. That will basically wreck our economy for the second time in the past 5 years. And remember which side kept the lockdowns, which side kept rates artificially low, which side ultimately took one look at the Fed and say, you do what we tell you to or else. And the Fed responded in one of the worst ways possible. And now we're facing a whole bunch of problems, and tariffs are perhaps our only best way forward. Because we're wanting to cut taxes for Americans, we're wanting to upgrade our business and our manufacturing yields. This is one of the best ways to do it. We don't have too many options left. So I'd rather have a president who has had a track record of this sort of negotiations, and I'd rather be looking up at a president who, as a rule of thumb, refuses to chicken out. This whole taco controversy is something drummed up by left-wing media in order to lie to the American people and say Trump is doing a bad job. No. The people aren't buying it anymore. The only ones who are talking about this taco acronym are the same people who refuse to get a good tan. And again, Trump always negotiates. That's what's happening right now before our eyes. And of course, the mainstream media is going to do anything that they can to take a pot shot at the president and ultimately worsen his negotiating power. So no wonder he was so angry at this reporter, but he handled it way more gracefully than he has in the past. He's starting to turn over a new leaf, and I'm loving this version of this calm, that's a terrible question, ma'am. Let's just move on. I kind of like that, don't you? Anyways, my name is Brian. Hope you enjoyed that segment here on Politibrawl. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Catch you on the next one. Until then, y'all have a good one.